เป็นมองการเกี่ยใจตัวเป็นใจรองมาจงเชื่อกันก่อนลูกน้องหนึ่งใครนึกเชื่อตัวหายลูกปูเราเป็นสุดตัวเป็นส่วนสุดตัวนะเอลินเดอร์ทอเจอ Lieutenant หน่อชัวชง Please welcome Lieutenant หน่อชัวชงNow, before they come up on stage here, I was not told there would be any interpreting taking place or interpreter here. So my thoughts is that there will be no interpreter, and the people speaking up here will either speak bilingual, Hmong and English, or if they do speak in Hmong, when I come up, I will probably summarize a little bit to each and every one of you. So just thought I'd make that side note. Thank you very much. Lieutenant Na Shuo Xiong.
打出去了，等到被什么想到。Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank you for Hmong Wausau Festival Chairperson and Director Yi Lengxiong, and to invite all veterans who here today. Thank you, Director Yi Leng, and President Long Law in Hmong American Center, and all Hmong community in our Mountain County. I would like to honor our great honorable our state Wisconsin Governor Tony Evans. Thank you for Governor and Lieutenant Governor and my brother, my friends like the State Senator and Jerry Petrowski, State Representative, Pat Snyder, and all my friend legislators and city, county, state, Wisconsin official elected. Welcome everybody here today, and I very appreciate, and all the other organizations who here to support our Hmong Festival in Mountain County. And thank you. Why I bring to my all veterans in the podium to show everybody today, because 1960 to 1975, and after 1975 in here today, we still have the organization to carry our position or our history, why we come to this country. As a Hmong Lao veteran of American Incorporation. Now I am carrying the position of Hmong Lao veteran of American Incorporation President. I bring my veteran here to show respect to the leader and to show our support and to show our history for the younger generation in the future. I thank you for our leader and community and clan leader and everybody here today. Let me speak a couple more Hmong words. But nhớ rằng hiện giờ vấn đề là quý chỉ mà chiến đấu để quốc gia hạ bê là để cho thời cho để cho Hmong sẽ là nu là cho lúa sát tàu America thì lấy từ hai chỉ hai chuyến cho lúa hai là trở lại hai cứ tin được cha นี่ป่อไปจอตัวเฉินเนาะไปชวนเจอเกินก็เลยละผู้อปองวันน้องเลยใช่ไหมไปสเตปแคนซินไปมาถอดจิตเตอร์ไปมาเลยชี้เชี่ยต่อเชี่ยแต่แรงจากกุตุจอตัวย่อเนาะแต่ชิตาชินะต่อกดนั่งก็แต่ช่องอาศัยตัวหมู่ตาละจะล้อจะยาวจะเชื่อชัวไปเจอเกินละจะน้อยจะจะจังจากกุตุจอชินต่อชิตัวที่อุเทียตัวนี่ที่ป่อช่องนาโฮสต์วิสกันเซนแล้วที่มานูเมื่อก็ปลอออฟฟิเชียลตัวไปเตียแล้วยังมารู้ว่าโชว์จะละลีมูลีรอเดียป้าตือยาริจ่าป้าตือยาริจ่าเตียแต่คนน้อไปยงเชียแห่งที่ชีตูเชียแห่งเตียก็จอดก็มอนหล่อไปจอดเธอจอเสียจงเกอจะไปจะตุจอเสียจงเกองานลำตัวแล้วเราไปสั่งคนน้อจะริจ่าสิเป็นพิตาหล่อเตโดลุงตุว่าเทียจอมของหล่อที่ดินแต่เทียซื้อเชื่อเราเชื่อเราเทียอีหล่อนะกูอยากให้อีเนี่ยจ่ายจอเดี๋ยวชีทอจะจีเทียกูตีนี่จะมองบลาอเมริกันเชื่อได้เป็นตัวโตที่จะน่าปล่อยเจ้าตัวชงเมื่อเขาเก่งคือปัตตาพระเจ้าที่หายเลยเทียว่าตัวมาอ่อนนู้นหล่อนะดอทองเทียเต้นะให้เดี๋ยวไปให้หนึ่งมองยองเลยจ้าจีเจียเลยจ้าที่ตัวว่าซื้อเชื่อเลยตัวดอทองเทียเต้นะลูกกงเบย์สันลีเนเขาเนี่ยเขาจึงจังกันก็ไปจอดเราจอดในตัวไปสาปอที่เขาจะน่าซื้อเสียยาลูยาลูจอนากุทอขวาตู้อีเล่งเที่ยนี่จอดหัวไปจอดเราอย่าต้านหนังเกินโยเลยนะสินะไปจวดจอในตัวเจ้าที่เจอนะเกยโยว่ามั่งยนดาลูกอตพงยืหน้าต่อย่าต่อพัฒนาที่เจอนะก็รัวรู้อยู่จานในหงแล้วตอนที่เจียนในจอดหัวว่าเจ้าไปจอดเราในพุ่งละปอเจ้าไปจุว่าอีหยังว่าดัวแต่สิไปที่เจ้าในลูกกงเป็นดอนท้องเดียเต้นอะไรเท่าเจียนน่ะเนี่ยตัวเจ้าจงว่าพงยืลีกูปอตาไปจอดหัวเสด็จนี่จะย่าเขาเนาะตู้อีหลังยาอีตัวกูทักขวาเนี่ยทักช้าเนี่ยวิ่งช้าเนี่ยชัวรู้เชื่อวิธีว่าเจ้าน่ะจึงจังเนี่ยนี่อีหลังเนี่ยสามารถเก็บปลอดจิรุ position ทักขวาก็ตู้อีหลังช้าจอบเจนะเราอย่างเจอก็ที่อย่างก็ที่นี่จะรวยเสด็จ thank you for อีหลัง he got a couple position I believe that he is working very hard for the state and community and all the Hmong people too yeah I personally thank you very much for Yilang work very hard closely on state leader like Governor Tony Evans Tony Governor Scott Walker before that he have relationship for all great leader I will appreciate for him thank you กูถามว่าสาวเรียยงหยีลีนาจอดลัวไปจอดเราไปแต่สินะชัวจะย่าเราที่จะปีมัวมาเลยซื้อคุณดูแข่งละชัวจินเตที่จะเราที่น่ะจะกึศลัวนี่ประตูเชื่อใช่ไหมนี่เขาไปขาเก่งเกิดเขาจะไปอวยจงจ้อยจงกองเตนั่นนะพวกเราปอว่าจออีนู้ไปตัวหนึ่งไปเจอตัวไปที่อวเราเลยเป็นชาลุ่นหนึ่งจงลีนะไอ้นู้เจ้าในตัวสาวเตเจนะท้อกันนี่วันหนึ่งจงเตี้ยนี่เจ้าเราเตี้ยน่ะเตี้ยจืดเราเตี้ยจืดเจ้าน่ะชัวเขาจงมาว่าเขาจีจงท้อว่าเขาอวยอยู่ปัวอยู่จานหนึ่งท้อว่าปัวอยู่ตัวแข้งจีรวดเตอแต่สิปัวอยู่จานหนึ่งจีจงนะเขาเนี่ยเขาจังอ๋อเป็นนู้นน่ะสิมากูจีริมัวมาจนเฉลยเลยเตี้ยน่ะจิมน้องรู้จีละจีริมัวมาอีเจ้าจะเจอจานด็อกเตอร์ลอเยอร์อีเจ้าเจอจ่าตู้เจ้าเนี่ยเจอจ่าประธานเน่งการมุ่งเจ้าเขาหรือจีจังดาเป้ว่าตัวเพื่อนเปิดหรือรู้เตรู้เจอเนาะกูจีถั่วเนี่ยฮะควายจังอ่ะนี่ว่าจีรินามาเป้ผมมันยกเกมมือนี่ผมดาวเลยที่น่ะที่ชื่อไฮต่อมาเนานี่มาหาจิมน้องเขาเนี่ยเขาคงโถใจท้อกับเฉลยจู่นะกูท้อนี่เตี้ยเนี่ยนะท่านนายพลจิมมั่วเลยท chỉ mua cho bây giờ cho ta lại chỉ cho chúa lại cú tụt khăn là bây giờ cơ lại thọ này nè sẽ là chủ đề tiền cái cứ nó cơ hội những tí chuyện nó muốn tao nè ta không được là nếu ô tô chở đi dùng chơi nếu ô tô chở chế chơi nếu ô tô chở vào chế những cái tiền này cho lo qua bây giờ cho lo vấn đề bây lúc họ mua cái bây giờ bỏ nó chỉ xả bỏ họ nên mua tiền giả ô chỉ cứ bài thông điệp thế nào là cho nên NENG nó nhưng dùng lên tới nó bây bông chỉ mua thế này cho cái tiền này trả họ này thì tiền àว่าหายนะตัวนี้ซื้อกูดูเครื่องละจีบอยู่หายจ่าเลยวิญญาณที่เจอนะที่สินจ้าจงอาเดียวที่เจอนะ freedom is not free ก็เชื่อตื่นเราลงกับมันนะกูตัวถ่ายเรียนเราเนี่ยเชื่อที่ซื้อนู่นน่ะยังนู่นชื่อสังดูอย่างแรงเทียประธานลงรอเทียตาเนี่ยอยากขนาดเราตัวเจ้าคือที่พงยืเทียนี่ตีจะหลุดที่สิกงนะกูยงเชื่อเกินยาตาเราไปจะหลุดว่ามาเป็นว่าตัวรงเกอร์เดี๋ยวสิเป็นมาจัวที่เขาหาล่อหงที่เขาหาจิตจ่อน่าจะอยากเลยป้าตึกวัวละเพิ่มจุดมาตึ้งเหม่งเดี๋ยวสินี่จะหล่อวัวนะกูยิงเจียนจงเนี่ยใช่ไหมเจียนจงเนี่ยเดี๋ยวว่าเนี่ยเกี่ยวสังยาลิจาvìนี่ตัวเราที่เจอนะนี่มั่วอีดูเคสินี่เจิ้นเท้าเจิ้นเท้านี่ตัวเกิดเจอเลยเนี่ย小罗วัวเกิดจุดเตอป้าที่จีมูซื้อชอบมั่วว่าที่อยากจีจงจะกล้ามั่วรู้ตั้งมันจะรู้จะรู้จักนี่ปีตัวขนาดยังจะยังปีหรือรู้จักตัวจะเป็นลูกกงเบียจะกันต่อยงตัวนะขนาดจะขับกุฏานี่จะรวมเตี้ยกูอยากจะย่านะนี่จะเช่านี่จะรวมจะหายย่ารู้จักตัวอย่างนี้โอ้ใครจงเลยไปจะตุ้ใจอย่างตัวเสือเจเนี่ยตัวนี่ไปจะตุ้หน่อยถ้าอุไปจอในตัวไปที่ไหนที่จีตัวต่างหน้ารู้ที่เจอนะไปยังตัวขวาตัวเช่านี่เราอย่างนะกุฏาเจ้ารู้นี่หายนี่โอ้ที่อยากจีจงจะโอ้ sorry จ้ากูหายแล้วนี่นะขณะฐานนะซื้อก็นะเขาก็ลุ้นตู้ด่าอาเทียเนี่ยจีบอยู่จีจงเจอดาจุดเตจุดเชยยอดออกมาตันเข้าที่สเตวิสกันเซนนะที่สี่ก็ลอนดาคุ้มครองลูกงานนู่นนารตะกีมอนอที่อย่างเขาก็เจอตัววัวนะก็วัวกะวัวหูวัวเด้าวัวจงจีมัวเปล่าจีมัวตูจีมัวสายจีมัวลูว่าได้จีแล้วก็เต่าเจอเลยรู้เชียสาลีนี่จะรัวเจอเลยรู้เชียเนี่ยในที่ป้าเราเลยต่อมาชีต่อรู้เลยเราอีช่องทอเราเนาะจะนู่นน่ะมาเราชื่อชีดีเนาะไอ้ทอดเนี่ยติดไปจะจ้องเที่ยวรุ่นตัวแต่อาก่อนนี่เนี่ยจ่อคือจ่อกับจ่อรัวว่าจีแล้วก็จ่อมัวย่งซื้อเนี่ยเจ้าแล้วก็ต่อจะละเทศที่นุ่งกีกับชีชวนนุ่งชีชวนกีเฉลยตัวละตัวพงว่ายืกับชีชอบมัวเปล่าชีชอบมันตัวนะไอ้กูจงเชียตัวนี่จะรอเฉลยนี่เฉลยกูเชียร้อนตั้งเที่ยอยู่ว่าใครย่อเที่ยวใครจงเลยเจตัวนึงเที่ยจงจะลุ้นตัวแต่อะไรยิ่งเที่ยจงละเจยิ่งจงซื้อนี่จะรอเฉลยจงไม่ยิ่งจงซื้อนะเฉลยกูเชียร้อนตั้งว่าเจ้า My conclusion I thank you for Governor and my brother Jerry Petrowski and State Representative Pat Snyder and all legislators. And this year, I very appreciate you help us to pass the bill as the State Assembly 154 to recognize our Hmong Lao Veteran Day for us. It is truly into law. Thank you for Governor side the bill and all the legislature to help us to pass the lesson. We are the veterans. Very appreciate it. Thank you, Governor. Thank you. God bless our American. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant XIONG, President of Wisconsin Lao Veterans of America. Thank you for your remarks. A few words of wisdom for our Hmong community at the very end there. Be good people, be good citizens, support America. Thank you very much, Lieutenant. Our next speaker, I'm excited to introduce. Before I knew her dad. So, is her dad here today? Jim, are you here today? No, Jim, he's not here. Oh, darn. All right, Jim, Before I knew her dad. Her dad was a leader in the city, in the county, and someone who supported the businesses a lot in the Wausau area. Now she is the leader in Wausau, and we're more excited than ever to have her here speak at the Wausau Hmong Festival. I've only got 2 words before I bring her up. Holy balls, Katie Rosenberg!
Wow, I wasn't expecting that one, but I guess I should have. Now, XIONG Hmong Wausau Festival, congratulations to the Hmong Wisconsin Festival Planning Committee on what promises to be another wildly successful weekend, thanks to your tireless work. If you're visiting, welcome. We're excited to share our community with you, and our teams are working hard to ensure you have a good and safe time. This one festival is responsible for hundreds of sports and dance teams coming to Wausau to compete and injecting almost $3 million into our local economy. This year, organizers are stepping up their commitment to our community by offering a free vaccination clinic so we can continue protecting each other. It is really an honor to be here today with my friends and colleagues, but especially Yilang Zhang, who has been working nonstop for months, not just on this event, but also relentlessly advocating for our whole community to ensure that we are a community that welcomes all, a community that values all, that we are being and showing our best selves to each other, and that we are a community for all. We're here today because America is a nation of hopes and dreams. Even though our ancestors found their way here using different paths, our lives here today were born out of a primordial and existential need to be free. A few years ago, I sat down with my friend, Marathon County Board Supervisor and Wausau School Board member Ka Lo, and she shared her family's harrowing path to America. Ka is the oldest of 6 children, born to refugee parents who escaped war-torn Southeast Asia decades ago. Her dad lost his parents when he was very young during the Vietnam War, and that meant that as a child, he was recruited to be an Allied soldier and was stationed in General Vang Pau's Long Tien base. Meanwhile, Ka's mom escaped with most of her family over the border, crossing the Mekong River from Laos into Thailand, finding protection in a refugee camp. Separately, Ka's parents made their way from Thailand halfway around the world to Wausau, Wisconsin, where they met and eventually married. Ka's family's American origin story is not unlike the origin stories for thousands of our Wausau neighbors. In fact, 2021 marks 45 years since Hmong people first started arriving in Wausau in 1976, seeking asylum as political refugees. Many after fighting alongside American soldiers as part of the Secret War. But actually, her origin story isn't far off from my own origin story. I'm sure it shocks many to learn that I hail from a long line of political rabble-rousers. 1800s Norway was apparently not the kind of robust democratic climate that my mom's great-great-grandpa, Gulbrand Jonsrud, thought it should be, and he took it upon himself to wage a one-man campaign directly at the king to let him know. Do you know what happens when you rage against the king in an absolute monarchy? You get thrown in jail. Alone and unable to provide for his family, he sat there wondering if his radical notions of social, economic, and political equality were worth the heavy cost he was paying. But did it stop him? Absolutely not. Finally, the king, done with Gulbrand, decided to cut him a deal. Either rot in jail for the rest of time, or pack up his family and get on the next boat to America and stay there. Gulbrand obviously made the right decision. The origin stories of Ka's family and my family embody everything I know to be true about America. That even when faced with impossible choices, our hearts propel us towards freedom, and America is here to be the landing pad for the people in search of that freedom. The wide-eyed and heroic child who decided to become a soldier. The family who made the valiant Hobson's choice to run through dangerous forests with sick relatives instead of staying in their homeland to be killed. The ancestor with an absurd compulsion to fight so relentlessly for equality that his entire family ends up with no home to go back to. The people who were here first with the strength and perseverance to continue even as their culture is threatened with extinction. The freedom fighters with the guts to rise up and fight slavery and systemic injustice, to rededicate our nation to true equality. These are the people that America calls. We are here today because America is a nation of hopes and dreams. Even though the path towards progress is slow and scarred by the struggle, we know that the only way we get there is by trusting each other and going together. I'm going to focus in on one struggle from our community for a moment because Wausau and Marathon County are a microcosm of what's going on out there in the broader world. We've had the national lens sharply focused on us as we discuss how we will recognize each other's struggles, how we will empathetically hold space for each other's experiences and inherited wounds, and how we will move forward. And frankly, some of those discussions surrounding the Community for All resolution have been difficult and damaging. But it's easy, especially today, to mistake or worse, intentionally obfuscate passionate debate for irreconcilable disagreement, to confuse that unrelenting precision of language for stubborn pettiness, to misinterpret passion for malice. But we have a duty to work together or we perish. If there is one call to action I'd make to you all gathered here today, it is to take a moment and quiet your ego. Instead of digging in and refusing to listen, make the deliberate choice to start over. Let those quieter voices chime in. Notice what makes you feel uncomfortable, vulnerable, and maybe even a little awkward. Assume positive intent in what your neighbors are sharing with you and why they are sharing it. Find those similarities that unite us. If you are an elected or appointed leader, use our community's experiences to inform and fuel your drive for a more inclusive governing process and more equitable policies. We are here today because America is a nation of hopes and dreams, and every day you have a new opportunity to make the world a better place. Thank you.
Mayor Katie Rosenberg, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Katie. A wonderful leader in the city of Wausau, leading the big project in downtown development, and we can't wait to see how that's going to turn out. So thank you very much, Mayor, for being here today. Our next speaker, I'm excited to introduce. You saw me recognize him earlier this morning. We are going to give him the platform right now. We are more excited than ever. He's here present with us today at the Wausau Hmong Festival. His schedule is so busy that he made the time to be here, and we couldn't be more appreciative than that. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, I'd like you all to please stand up. Please welcome the governor for the state of Wisconsin, Tony Evers!
Good job. I'll tell you, I don't get introductions like that very often. So hopefully I'll be able to do it again soon. Anyway, it's a pleasure to be back in Wausau today for the 4th Annual Hmong Festival. And thanks so much for inviting me and allowing me to speak briefly. You know, as we begin, I'd like to take this time to thank all the fellow speakers that we have and great speakers that we have, the work they do to support the Hmong and greater Wisconsin communities all across the state. And special thank you to President LaNglore of the Hmong American Center, XIONG of the great group, Wisconsin Lao Veterans of America. Of course, very great Mayor Katie Rosenberg, and a great pickleball player, I'll also say. Her and her husband are great pickleball players. And we are very, very happy, and I am very proud to recognize our great Maysee Tao, who is Deputy CEO of the Wisconsin Economic Development Association. And I have to tell you, that Maysee and that whole group at WEDA, the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Corporation, do a great job. The issue of affordable housing in the state of Wisconsin is absolutely critical, and Maya just does a great job bringing those good affordable housing options available to all people across the state. And of course, Executive Director of the Hmong American Center, Yi-Ling Zhang, for putting together what an amazing event. I was here a couple years ago, pre-pandemic, and here we are today at the tail end of that pandemic, putting together this great opportunity for us. So I'm thrilled to be here to help celebrate. I was talking to some people backstage. It's really important that we celebrate the rich culture and traditions of the Hmong community. What a great story they have to tell, and what great people they are to be part of us here in Wisconsin. And a vital role that Hmong Wisconsinites play in our state and our economy, and it's the cultural fabric of our state that really has helped us as a state. That's why it is essential that we continue to work together, that you've heard that several times this morning, to build a Wisconsin that works for everybody and every community in Wisconsin. I believe in a Wisconsin where every family has the tools and the resources to succeed, where every kid is supported both in and out of the classroom, where health disparities that exist in our communities are tackled and addressed with the urgency they deserve, where folks have mental health and community supports they also need to succeed, and where people have access to spaces that they can be together to share their culture and heritage, not only to celebrate and support the community, but to combat, ensure, and preserve Hmong history and traditions. Spaces like here in Wausau at the Hmong American Center, and history like the role the Hmong Lao veterans played in the Vietnam War. I was glad earlier this year, is one of the actually thrills of my lifetime, to designate May 14th as Hmong Lao Veterans Day here in Wisconsin, to honor the service and sacrifice of the tens of thousands of Hmong Lao soldiers that fought alongside the U.S. troops in the Vietnam War, and they living across our state forevermore. That's important, folks. It's important to recognize our shared history. It's important to tell our stories, and it's important to celebrate the folks who have helped make our Wisconsin the great place it is to live, work, and raise a family. And it's why events like this, one here today, are so important, because they demonstrate that in a world where we're seeing increased racism and violence against our Asian American and Pacific Islander friends and neighbors, that hate and intolerance will not be accepted, and instead cultural differences should be celebrated, expressed, and experienced. And speaking of history to celebrate, honest to God, have to take a moment to celebrate Sunisa Lee, who became the first gold medal winner from the Hmong community. I know she's a Minnesotan, but we'll claim her for the day too. So, and just going off script here for a minute, obviously we've struggled mightily across our country, and with all the good work people have done here in Wisconsin, we are now moving forward as a state and making sure that everybody is safe and healthy. But we aren't done yet. And everybody knows that how important it is to be vaccinated. It is the one and only way we're going to finally end this pandemic. And I'm sure most everybody in this room has been vaccinated. But I am also sure that every one of you know at least one person in your life, in your extended family, someplace. I task you with this task. Get to that person and spend every possible moment you can to make sure that they get vaccinated also. It is the only way we're going to stop this pandemic in its tracks. So once again, thank you for having me. I am so glad to be here today and share in the Hmong culture, and especially with those Hmong folks here in the Wausau area and Marathon County area. So thank you very much. Have a great celebration today. Thank you.
Governor Evers, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Thank you for your message, Governor. Thank you for being here. Our next speaker, I'm excited to introduce. I've known her for a very long time now. Before her current position, she was the leader for the Wisconsin Hmong Chamber of Commerce. She is the first Hmong person to be appointed by the governor in the state level position, and the Hmong community is thankful and supportive and appreciative of that as well. We're honored to have her be our keynote speaker for today's event. Governor Evers to sai lo ho lử nhớ lo state yo ý thành xia hưng nhớ lo bên Hmong ho sang Wisconsin no chỉ to mua li mà lên nó bây giờ xia cơ ô nu yo ya tu này cheng cheng hai lo pu ro pet so so tu thia. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Assistant Deputy Director of the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Association, Maysee Tao.
Good morning. I love Koo because he's like our hype man all the time. And Governor Evers, thank you so much for your very kind words. It's my honor to serve alongside you. Nhớ rằng cái tin anh chàng phong như sốt lờ, cho nó cho ua, cho phong như, nếu nó cú trong xa hẹn, hạt ta cú ha cú chỉ tôi nền, hạt tàu tôi cũng mấy sốt lờ. Chỉ ta là họ sư, cú thọ ở châu dĩ lính, ha cho nó cho ua, ha bây giờ planning committee cho lúc festival, cứ mình chính xác ta một cú nhớ nó ha, ấy chơi cú tôi hay ở bên lù. Thơ lúc còn chồng nhớ cho Wausau nữa nó. Tao ít xong tận tao nó. Một tụ cá mò COVID trừ sĩ. Và bây chỉ tao tôi sinh trí. Tôi nhớ ok. Cú vả hát cha xa ta suốt lờ nó cá nhớ rộng. Chỉ trâu tụ cá mò nó. Giáng ta lưu. Xua ra cú tôi chú cho Wausau nó. Can you all still hear me? No? We'll give it a moment. I don't know if any... Good to go? Sorry, all. Okay, there we go. Good thing I've done enough public speaking engagements that doesn't faze me. So let me just continue my couple of other remarks in Hmong, and then I have some remarks in English. Patang của pata yan tan lu của tôi chú cho Wausau nó mà của yên giờ tôi sở chếនៅcộng hòa Hmong Chamber of Commerce. Tôi sĩ li bát tang cú tới tàu hải là ha, ra nó của tôi giờ sở chế ở lúc cộng hòa Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Authority, ai ô hà lươn du Governor Evers, sai hiểu đồ sinh của mua và mua chế đồ bê sinh Wisconsin. Đồ nó mong chỉ một sự hận tao, để cô yo hai luan kỹ lệ sư ai thọ mê sốt lờ họ rằng lúc gì ha. Good morning and hello Wausau. It's been 2 years since I've last been here, and here at the very last Hmong Wausau Festival before COVID-19 hit. Before I begin my remarks, I also need to give a shout out to our young Hmong American sister, Sinisa Lee. Congratulations to Sinisa. Though she is not from Wisconsin, I'm a former Minnesotan. She lifts up our community, not just here in the Midwest, but throughout the nation and throughout the world. Sunisa has not only just made her family and friends proud, she has not just made our Hmong community proud from all over the world. She has made America proud. She has single-handedly put our Hmong American community on the map of Americans who had no idea who the Hmong people are, how we came to be here, and what we have accomplished in the 46 years that we have been here in this country. According to CBS, shortly after her historic win, there was a spike in searches for what is Hmong American, according to data from Google Trends. Then CBS provided a brief history of the Hmong, quoting their information from our very own Hmong American Center's website. I don't know, Yiling, if you knew that they pulled your information on an article that CBS wrote. And who would have thought that only 46 years later, that our Hmong people would have come so far as to have a gold Olympian. And of course, because I'm from Milwaukee, I have to give a shout out to our Milwaukee Bucks as well. So I feel like I have come full circle here in Wausau. Over 7 years ago, I first traveled here when I began my work with the Hmong Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce. I came to Wausau knowing that this was the second largest Hmong community in the state. And I wanted to ensure that business and economic development resources were being deployed to all of our Hmong communities around the state. I and the Chamber were immediately accepted by our Hmong community here, and strong relationships were built. So strong that just a year and a half after I started at the Chamber, I chose Wausau as the first satellite office for the Hmong Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce. I have been to every Hmong Wausau festival since its inception several years back under the bold vision of Yiling Xiong. And this year, again, I return not as the Executive Director of the Hmong Chamber, but as the Assistant Deputy Director of WIDA. And what a true privilege and honor it is to serve not just our Hmong community, but now our statewide community of Wisconsin. And to my Hmong community here in Wausau, thank you for welcoming me into your family and for continuing to be my second home here in Wisconsin. According to the Business Insider, in 2020, per the tabulations of the 2018 American Community Survey, other than English and Spanish, Hmong was the most common language spoken in the home right here in Wisconsin. So when I saw this data, I was taken by surprise, although I don't know that I should have been surprised. But I'd like you all to just pause for a moment to reflect on what that means. Hmong being the third most common language spoken in the home here in Wisconsin. So what does that mean for those of us who serve Wisconsin? Oh, am I good? Including our Hmong communities in the state. What questions need to be asked to create greater impact to narrow the disparity gaps? What community engagement and true community partnership needs to happen in order to truly understand not just the needs of the Hmong community, but to embrace the amazing contributions that should be celebrated? And then, what action, including resources, need to be driven forward to ensure that our Hmong communities around the state and right here in Wausau are being included, and that our Hmong community will have access to these resources? We no longer want any of our communities to just survive. We want and we need all of our communities to thrive. We want all communities lifted up. This is the only way the state of Wisconsin as a whole will continue to thrive. And so I want to leave you all with a quote from John Gerda, who is a Milwaukee historian. He wrote a piece on the Hmong journey from Southeast Asia to Wisconsin in May of 2019 in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Quote, "And in the U.S., despite the obstacles, Hmong cultural identity has survived, even thrived, in just 2 or 3 generations. Wisconsin's Hmong have created lives light years removed from Southeast Asia, and yet they remain identifiably, insistently Hmong. As flexible as bamboo, as tough as teak, they have lost old ways but found new ones. After so many moves and so much suffering, where is home? Home is here." And so please pause to reflect on this, that home is Wisconsin. Home is Wausau for so many of our Hmong communities. What are you doing? What will you do to influence and to ensure that Hmong Wisconsinites are welcomed, are included, are embraced, are celebrated, and are truly a part of our Wisconsin communities? I leave you all with these questions to reflect on, with the hopes and expectations that we all will continue to work together to build stronger communities for all in Wisconsin, including right here in Wausau. I am also very sad. I had hoped that our state representative, Francesca Hong from Madison, would have made it here in time. I think she is still traveling here, so I hope that you all will meet her. But I wanted to at least give you a background on State Representative Francesca Hong. She is Wisconsin's first ever Asian American state assembly person. She is a leader for the people, a change agent, a community builder. In just several months in state assembly, she has authored, co-authored, and sponsored numerous bills and resolutions, including recognizing Asian Pacific Islander Desi American, APITA for short, Heritage Month, to honor the significant contributions of Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, and Desi Americans to the history of this country. Condemning violence against APITA communities, directing school boards to provide instruction on Hmong American and APITA history, creating Hmong Lao Veterans Day, and expanding veterans benefits to individuals, including our Hmong veterans, who served in Laos in support of the United States during the Vietnam War. And though my fellow Asian American sister, Francesca Hong, is not here sharing the stage with me right now, I am so honored that we have our first Asian American state assembly person who is so committed and who remembers where she came from and is fighting for our Asian American communities and our Hmong American communities here in Wisconsin. And when she arrives later, I do hope that you all welcome her as warmly as you have welcomed me. And so with that, thank you to my Wausau family. Thank you to all of the leaders who have continued to support our Hmong American communities here in Wausau and throughout the state of Wisconsin. 我们说了赵能到。
Thank you. Maysee Tao, everybody. Maysee Tao. She's a wonderful individual, great friend, great leader, and we're proud to have her serve at the state level. Before we go further, we have a little recognition we'd like to proceed with. Please welcome Yiling Zhang. Yiling Zhang.
I know it's not my time to speak yet, but I wanted to give out some awards to thank some individuals before they leave first. So first and foremost, On my left here is Vice Chair of the Hmong Wausau Festival, NENG. There's Zoma Ka, who is a leader of the Kane clan, but also an advisor for the Hmong Wausau Festival. XIONG, who is a member of the Zhang clan, but also a clan leader as well and an advisor. And right behind me is what our premier sponsor, Jim with United Healthcare. And I have not Shua Zhang. Obviously, everybody knows who he is. So before we start, I would like to use this opportunity here to recognize Governor Tony Evers for his kind words. So Governor Tony Evers, if you could come up here for an award, that would be greatly appreciated. And the next individual, I want to acknowledge and also thank her for her keynote address. We would like, on behalf of the Hmong Wausau Festival, we would like to thank and acknowledge Maysee Tao for her leadership, for her continuing to inspire all of us in Central Wisconsin, and also for being a mentor of mine as well. So on behalf of the Hmong Wausau Festival, we honor and thank Maysee Tao as our keynote speaker. We appreciate your ongoing commitment and valuable time and contribution to our organization. I did not see Jerry standing behind me, so I do want to acknowledge Jerry Petrowski, our state senator as well too. So.
Thank you, Yilang. Thank you. All right, our next speaker. I'm always excited to introduce this guy. Have served Marathon County in the Wausau area for such a very long time. Before in the State Assembly and now in the State Senate. We are more than excited to have him here today. This year's accomplishment, the Hmong Lao Veterans Proclamation, was initiated, and because of this guy's backing, made it possible. And the governor's signing off on it as well. And so we're very thankful for his presence here today. We are excited to have him. Please welcome State Senator Jerry Petrowski.
Good morning. Honored veterans, Honorable Governor Evers, all clan leaders, all local government representatives, state government representatives, friends and neighbors. I'd like to, again, like everyone, thank you for being here to celebrate with the Hmong community. It is a special day, but it's a day that we can celebrate Hmong heritage, we can celebrate the sacrifices and the service that they've given to this great country. We've had an interesting year. Some of the things that we got done this year would have gotten done last year, but we ran into the COVID issue, and that really put everything behind. I wanted to do a special thank you to a number of people. One, we just, on May 14th, got the Hmong Lao Veterans Bill signed to make a Veterans Day special for the Hmong Lao veterans. And I especially want to thank Governor Evers, because even though he takes credit for signing it, he did much more than that. He actually I made sure that he was aware that the bill was working through the thing, but when it came to signing it on the 14th, which was a designated day, he went ahead and moved his schedule around so he could be there to get it signed. And he did it certainly for the Hmong, but he also did it for me, so thank you, Governor. I would like to I'd also like to thank Representative Pat Snyder, because in the legislature, when you really want to get something done and you're serious about it, you're going to find somebody in both houses to lead the fight. And I chose Pat Snyder for this for a very important reason, because Pat has a lot of friends and he is dedicated to getting things done. And so if you would, please give Pat a round of applause. Pat, please stand up. I also wanted to recognize the gentleman behind me, and especially Nashua Zheng. Nashua and I have become good friends through the years, and he's become my brother. He knew that I came from a small family, and he wanted to make sure that I had more nieces and nephews. So now all of his children are my nieces and nephews, and I really appreciate being part of his family. I want to thank the Hmong across our area, across our state, for the work that you do, for your loyalty, for your commitment to family. I think all of us know how far you've come in the last 40 years. You came here with very little. You came here with struggling with the language. And now as we look around at your children and your grandchildren, they're excelling through that system in unbelievably ways. You have doctors and lawyers, dentists, everything that you can imagine in professions. You have teachers, you have pastors, everything. You've come a long way, and congratulations to each and every one of you. Like I say, we're here today to celebrate with you. And if I could thank one more group of people, it's the veterans that are Hmong, that are behind me, the ones we've lost along the way, because they dedicated their lives to freedom. And I could spend a lot of time telling you the stories that I have heard through the years of the sacrifice that they went through and they endured. But I think many of you already know that. And I'd like to say to the veteran, whether they're Hmong or not, God bless you, each and every one of you. Thank you.
Jerry Petrowski, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Now, I know we've been talking all morning here. There's been great speakers, and we have a few speakers left. So please bear with us. I do want to note that after our speaking agenda this morning, lunch will be provided. So all you that's been here with us this morning, our special guests, dignitaries, and our VIP people, that is, lunch will be provided to you and your families. So all you got to do is stay sitting where you're at by the tables, and lunch will be served and provided to you. So please bear with us. Please be patient. We got a few more exciting speakers, and then we will continue forward this afternoon. We had a speaker this morning that was supposed to be here. I got the notice that he can't be here anymore. And so on the agenda, you all noticed there is Congressman Tom Tiffany. He couldn't be here today. He planned to, but at the last minute, his schedule couldn't accommodate. Can we just all give him a round of applause? Recognize Tom Tiffany. Something came up where he couldn't make it, but we still want to recognize that he tried. So thank you very much, Tom Tiffany. Our next speaker is also a friend of the Hmong community. I'm excited to introduce him. He's a friend of the Hmong community, has been serving as a circuit court judge for the past couple of years, And now the presiding judge of Marathon County, please welcome Judge Michael Moran. Oh, Mike had to go to a wedding. Okay, so I believe the reason he laughed was because he's probably the wedding officiator of that wedding, huh? Ah, okay. Otherwise, he wouldn't have left. No, but let's just all just give Michael Moran a round of applause, recognize him. He's a great supporter of our community, and he had to leave. I thought I saw him earlier, but thank you, Michael, for your presence this morning. Going forward, this person, honestly, I have not had a chance to meet yet, but I hope I will. But I did read about him in the papers, and currently he is the chief deputy of Marathon County. What I read in the papers, that he could be the next sheriff. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chad Billab.
Good morning. Is this thing on? It's hard to tell. Good morning, and thank you for having me. I want to thank Yiling Zhang, first of all, for inviting me here today. Now, I wanted to start out with a little bit about me, just to give a little frame of reference. I didn't always want to get into law enforcement. I didn't want to be a police officer. What I wanted to be was a history teacher. And that's been my passion for years. I like to research and I like to look into different things. And I want all of you just to think for a few minutes about what this county looked like in 1850. In 1850, Marathon County was designated as a county in this state. It looked very different from today, and it was founded by immigrants, people who came here from different parts of the world to make it what it is today. Through their philanthropic efforts, we have the different foundations and the committees, the museums, and the culture that they brought with them. But what has happened is we've grown as a community. If you just look behind me at the screen, we see the Dudley Tower in the city of Wausau, and how majestic our downtown has become, and how vibrant our county has become as a whole. And that's because of the contributions of everyone. The Hmong community has brought so much to Marathon County, and we cannot help but take a step back today and think about what we saw as we walked up the sidewalk coming into this venue. Once again, I was blown away. It's bigger than the last time I was here 2 years ago when the event was actually taking place. The culture that they've brought has made us all better. Now, what's going to happen here in the next couple of months is we're going to see some new visitors who will become our new neighbors and residents. They're coming from Ethiopia, and it is my hope that we as a community will welcome them in and show them what Wausau has to offer and why this is such a great community and why we have what we have, and that they will come out and experience an event like this and one day share their culture with us, just as the Hmong community is sharing it with us now. Now, as a representative of the law enforcement community, I do have an important message that I want to make. And it's been in the media. Mayor Rosenberg referenced it when she was up here. If you're in Wausau, if you live in Marathon County, you see it. But it's not just here. It's a microcosm of what we see across this nation. But I want to be very, very clear. And that is that we have no tolerance in this community for hate against any individual for any reason, whether it be race, sexual orientation, or any other protected class. And I stand up here as a representative from law enforcement to assure everyone here and everyone that's watching across the world that in Marathon County, your law enforcement will stand behind you, protect you, and care for you. You are a member of our community, and you are welcome. I had planned to end with that, But I met somebody about a week and a half ago that I didn't know was as popular as he is, Mr. Nashua Zhang. And when we met, we had a really nice conversation, and we talked about how he came to America. I learned a lot about his family, but something didn't strike me until this morning, Nashua. When you introduced your veterans, who were all seated behind us, and we stood up and looked at their faces, I thought, my God, they were just boys. When you helped the American soldiers in Vietnam and Laos and all the areas you fought, you were 14 years old. Many of them were 14 years old. They are warriors. They should be celebrated, and it absolutely stopped me in my tracks. So thank you to you and all of your soldiers. Thank you.
I didn't do that. The wind took it down. I didn't do that. Thank you, Chad Billup, ladies and gentlemen. Our next speaker, I'm proud to introduce. I was just backstage speaking with him. I remember this guy because we were one of the first Hmong families that lived in the Western area, and I remember this individual at 29 Superfoods, now called Pick and Save, and he was the manager there, and I would always remember his name, Mark Maloney, because he was advertising on television, and also when we go there, I would see him. So we're happy he's here today. He is the president for the village of Weston. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mark Maloney.
Good morning, everybody. As he said, I'm Mark Maloney, a village president of Weston, and he kind of caught me off guard back there because he said, you must be the owner of 29 Super when it was there. I said, no. I actually started as a bagger and worked my way up to a store director and had a lot of fun there.
Okay.
And then went with the Pick and Saves in the Wausau area.
So I read about
I'm a grocer at heart. Never trust a skinny grocer. That's why I can't wait to try all the food when we're done here. But on behalf of the village of Weston, neighboring community of Katie's Wausau, it's just a pleasure that we were invited here by Yi Lang Zong, who's on his phone. And thank you, Yi. Yeah, I know you're working. I know. But it's just an absolute pleasure to be here today and help celebrate, open these festivals. This is absolutely amazing. And the food is, the smell of the food, I mean, I can't get over it. I just can't. And I have been wrecked over time. I used to love all kinds of egg rolls until I tried Hmong egg rolls. And I buy them at a Oriental market right on in Weston there. And I can't eat any other egg rolls. They're just that good. And sometimes I buy them out and there's people behind me and they want egg rolls, so they have to wait till they make more. But on behalf of the village of Weston, we've got some trustees here. We have Barb Erbeling. We have Hushang Zagami. I think I saw Nate Feeney here today. And of course, Long Zong. I mean, you do a marvelous job here. He's invited me here over all the years. Normally we're camping, and actually my family is camping right now, and I drove up 6 o'clock this morning to make sure I'm here. I promised I'd be here, and I am here. But on behalf of the village of Weston, thank you. Just congratulations on a tremendous festival, and it looks like you have 2 great days coming before you. So thank you again, and it's been a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Mark Maloney, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Maloney. Our next speaker, the new leader of NTC, North Central Technical College. We are more excited than ever to have her here today as well. speaking here up on stage to each and every one of us. She's got great news to share with all of us today. Prior to becoming the leadership position she's got currently, she wore all the hats that NTC could possibly have. And therefore, she has the experience, she has the character to lead North Central Technical College. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Jeannie Worden.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here today. As I was preparing my remarks and what my message wanted to be today, I decided to focus on thankfulness and gratefulness. So you'll hear a lot of thanks throughout my remarks. First of all, thank you to Yiling Zhang for the invitation to be part of this today. I was part of the male Hmong pageant a few years ago, and I enjoyed that experience, and I'm glad to be back today. NTC is thankful to be a sponsor for this important community event. NTC is also thankful that our criminal justice students are providing support to security, and it gives those students an opportunity to gain real-world experience and things that they'll experience once they graduate. NTC is thankful that our advisors from our student services were able to participate in Hmong Heritage Month and that virtual conference. That was excellent. And we're thankful to work with the Hmong American Center to create educational pathways. And we look forward to continuing our work together as NTC continues moving forward its strategic plan, focused on providing the state-of-the-art, high-tech, high-demand programming. I'd like to conclude my remarks with announcing the first annual scholarship in the amount of $1,500 for a Hmong individual that is active in the Hmong American Center and comes to North Central Technical College in the Criminal Justice or Public Safety Program. Our foundation wanted to bring this scholarship forward and announce it at this event, so we look forward to working together with the Hmong American Center to be able to award that to a deserving individual. Thank you very much, and I know you will have a successful rest of your day. Again, thank you for inviting me, and enjoy the rest of the day.
This morning. Not only that, again, we have a record number of athletes participating in our Hmong Festival. We got soccer teams. We got football teams. We got volleyball teams. Go watch them. Go cheer them on. I tell you, these athletes are very, very competitive people.